Welcome to the Power of Love show, sponsored by the TJ Jackson Foundation, where we shine a light on loss and grief and how it impacts our lives. We are here to provide hope, resources, and a community so no one feels alone in their grief. Enjoy the show. Welcome to the Power of Love show, sponsored by the TJ Jackson Foundation, where we shine a light on loss and grief and how it impacts our lives. We are here to provide hope, resources, and a community so no one is left alone in their grief. We believe that through the power of love, that nothing is impossible with love on your side. TJ Jackson here, and with me is Taj Jackson, my eldest brother. How are you, Taj?
Good, doing well.
Good, man. As you know, at least, we are live on the Power of Love show. So this is going to be a special show where we're doing Q&A. And yes, we got so many great questions on our Instagram feed, on the TJ Jackson Instagram feed. And we're going to answer as many of those as possible. But saying that, we want to also let you know, if you're watching this live, you can ask questions and we can access them here as well. So we're going to try to do a mixture of both. But we're going to at least get through a lot of the ones we've already received on Instagram. Mm-hmm. Disclaimer, we are not licensed therapists. We are just ordinary people who've experienced loss in our lives. We've been impacted by it and we've learned from it. And we want to share our opinions in an attempt to help you overcome whatever it is you are going through. Saying that, if you need professional help, we urge you to seek it and to find it. Do not just rely on us. Taj Jackson, we usually talk about our past. Do you want to give a brief thing, or do you want to just go into it? What do you want to do?
I think we could go into questions because there's a lot of questions, and I want to get to as many as possible. I mean, you cleared up a little. You were looking like a microwave, is what people were saying. your quality, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, but it's better now.
Okay. Well, I don't know what's up with my internet. I hope all the audio was fine, but
audio
was fine. Okay. So like I said, there's been a lot of great questions. Taj, you've already seen some. Most of our viewers and listeners obviously don't know, but we're going to go straight into them. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Denise, first question is from Denise. She wants to know, why do we struggle more on the anniversary or birthday of the person we have lost? What's your opinion, Taj?
Just real quick, my opinion, because those are usually happy times. There's a strong happy memory to them, whether it's a birthday party or an anniversary, whether it's a bunch of people coming together or one person, sharing something with someone else, in terms of there's an event to it in a way, as opposed to just an everyday kind of occurrence. And so I think you remember events in terms of that, especially if they're happy thoughts. And so that also is the opposite of grieving, basically, is happiness. And so that's why you struggle, is because it's something that, it's a conflict. You're grieving and thinking happy thoughts. So, I try and do the opposite. I try and think of happy thoughts during grieving. So I anniversaries and birthdays, I try and think of, instead of like, and I know that's going to be another question over there, but instead, on certain days, instead of like, and you can't let what your body tells you to do anyway, but on certain days, I try and celebrate the person, or celebrate a memory, or a fun memory, a funny memory, anything that makes me smile,
No, that was well said, Taj. I think I agree with you. I think naturally we usually are in a celebratory mood when it comes to birthdays, anniversaries, and great days or holidays with that person. And then when we have to now figure that date as a difficult time to remember that person's no longer there, there's this kind of complex and kind of, switching of the emotions on that day. So in the past, it was always a celebratory thing, but now going forward, it's just a reminder that person is not there with you and you can't hold or be with them. And I think what you said that was great was you tried to purposely, think of happy thoughts and make it a celebratory day. You try to switch it up. And I think that's very important and wise of you. When I first read this question, though, I thought it was more of the anniversary of the loss of someone.
Oh, Interesting.
You
Okay. So
you obviously didn't think of it that way. But what would you say about that if it was phrased regarding the anniversary of the death of someone?
well,
As people know, Uncle Michael's anniversary is
yeah,
tomorrow, June 25th.
his death. Yeah.
And I can say this. It's I think it's a similar thing. Instead of it being a celebratory day, it's just a reminder that that person is not there with us on that day. So before June 25th had no significance in my life,
Mhm.
but now that it was the day my uncle passed, it holds a huge significance, and it's tough because it's a reminder that he isn't here with us. He isn't in presence with us, and that is something that is just difficult. And I go back to what Todd suggested is I think you have to find a way to make it a celebratory, to find a way to celebrate everything that person meant to you.
Mhm.
And I think in everyday life we can get through a pattern where we get so busy that we don't stop and think about great moments with someone we've lost. And I think if you're already going to kind of hold that date as a significant date in respect to someone, it's a great opportunity to do it in a celebratory way and to remember all the great things and see it from a gratitude perspective.
Yeah. Good point.
April wants to know, I get depressed. Sorry, I messed that up. I get depressed every time my brother visits and has to go back to Austin. Is that considered grief? I think it is, for sure. There, what I think people, what I should say it this way. There's two ways to see grief, and I looked this up in preparation for today. There's actually two different meanings of grief. One is, by definition, deep and poignant distress caused by or as if by bereavement, over a death, usually. And then the other one is just trouble, annoyance, um, you know, kind of like frustration. So I think, yes, it is considered grief by definition, but in general, I think people usually, subscribe grief to the death of someone or loss of someone. But we're still learning everything. We're not, and we did say this in the disclaimer. We're not professionals. We didn't go to school for this. We are just trying to figure and how to navigate through this difficult world, and it's something that we all, like we always say, will have to get through at some point in our life. But grief, yeah, I see that as some type of grief, maybe not as serious as the loss of grief, but it is grief. If you're feeling a certain way and it's putting you in a negative space, and a certain act or event is, then I would say it's grief. Anything you want to add, Taj?
No, I mean, I definitely, for me, it's grief, because I think, if you feel sad or if depressed, that's those are cousins of grief in that way. And so, if her brother visiting and then having to go back, and missing him, you know, that is, a form of grief. It's not the technical form that most people think of, but it's still, it's a loss of something, that you're used to.
Yeah. Okay. Michael has a good question. He asked, when my wife was home, she took video of her dad's grave, so when she's sad, she can watch it. Is it a good thing for her to do this, or should she try to find something else to bring comfort?
Um, I think whatever works, to be honest. I have stuff from Uncle Michael's, his house, in terms of certain things that people probably would be like, that's so tacky. Why would you have that? But I have it as a reminder of, in terms of that day. And it's weird because you would think, why would you want that? But for me, it's something sentimental, and, that only I have in that way.
Yeah.
It's I can say what it is. It's like the police tape kind of thing, the yellow
Mm-hmm.
tape.
Mm-hmm.
It's the caution tape stuff, but it's like, why would you want that? But for me, I remember that day, I was like, I want something significant in it from his house, in a way that's not something that I'm stealing. But it was like, that was important to me, and I still have that, and it's something that I look at, and it reminds me of that day, but also because I have other memories that I can fill in the blank. But I'd just be careful of thinking what grief can be and what helps people out in grief, because people have weird ways of dealing with it. And I shouldn't say weird, have different ways of dealing with it.
Yeah. And I will say this, Taj, like you describing, I obviously didn't know that. And that's something I could never do. I wouldn't have that kind of thing.
I have the newspapers from that day too. Like, oh,
I have newspapers, but I wouldn't have grabbed that. Like one thing I did take was a piece of clothing. And it wasn't that it was, I remember Uncle Michael wearing it. It's that it was so strong with his smell
yeah,
that I wrapped it up. So in case I ever want that, it's there.
yeah,
And, you know, like you said to start is I think it's important that we don't judge. And whatever it is that helps someone get through this period and makes them feel connected to that person, as long as it's a healthy thing, connection, I think is fine.
yeah.
You know, I would just say, Michael, and again, we are not professionals, so please don't take this and run. But just my instinct is to say that, you know, just keep an eye on it. As long as she's not putting herself in a negative spin for days and days after that, then I think there's nothing wrong with it. You know, oftentimes when people, you know, will see something that reminds them of someone they lost, they'll feel better. It may take some time, but they feel better. And that's what we want is some type of enhanced feeling dealing with such a big loss.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Taj, there's a request for you to come closer to the mic. So
Am I too soft?
You're too soft. So okay. So
Okay.
while you do that, I'm going to answer this question from the weird. TJ, did you feel having a child young would soften the blow of your grief or be a distraction for your grief? This is a great question. And the answer is yes.
I knew the answer.
I did. And I don't think I would have phrased it that way, but the truth is I couldn't argue against that. I felt an emptiness, a hole that I was strongly thought that only a child could feel. And again, as I've said before, I always wanted to be a young parent. That was even before my mother passed. But when she did pass, that was like the thing I needed. I needed it in life. And even though, you know, we are doing 3T and doing so well, I felt a little bit of an emptiness until Royal was born. And so in a way, yes, I don't like describing it as softening the grief, but or distraction, but I can see how that is exactly what I was doing. You know, I needed something to fill that kind of void of deep and love, and that's what Royal did.
Mm-hmm.
Taj, let's get back to the previous questions. Lashana wants to know, do you find it hard to forgive people that have hurt you?
I'm a little too forgiving. I'm actually the opposite. Like I forgive people a little too easily. People that have hurt me in general. I just, you know, for me, I also feel that sometimes when you hold on to that hurt or you hold on to that pain, that could be just as devastating as what they did to you. So for me, it's almost like I don't hold on. It's like water for me. It just goes through me in a way. I don't forget what they did, but at the same time, I don't let it dictate where I'm going or what I'm trying to achieve or in that way. So yeah, at times it can seem like I'm a little too forgiving. You know, Grandma Jackson has that same trait.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
100%.
So like you know, I can't consider it a really bad, because it's like one of those things that I actually admire about Grandma is that she's open, you know, and she doesn't, as much as she's gone through heck, and I won't say heck, you know, but yeah, because I'm talking about her, but as much heck as she's gone through, it's like she still has that optimism and still has that heart, you know, or whatever. So
Todd, you said it right. First of all, you are probably, I mean, you are, and I think it's a Grandma trait. I think Jacksons as a whole are quite forgiving, but out of everyone, I think you are the most forgiving. I don't think it's too, I don't think you're too forgiving, Taj. I think actually, like you said, it's actually a great skill, because you if you can forgive someone, you can, you know, you can learn to not carry such a weight. You know, I think, and that can be more devastating, not only to your mental health, but your physical and spiritual health. So
yeah,
having that ability to forgive and let go is an important quality to have.
Yeah.
I would say as a whole, we Jacksons are more forgiving than your normal.
Mhm.
But yes, Taj and my grandmother are incredibly, incredibly forgiving people. So Abby wants to know how can we stop racism in young people?
I think raise them right. I mean, I'm not saying in general. I think racism is taught and learned by um I shouldn't by older people. Basically, I don't think kids are born with racism. It's something that we teach them, and so you stop racism in young people by when you have them at an age where they're learning and they're um, kind of molding and shaping. That's the time to install in them that everyone is the same, everyone is equal, and give them those values and instill those values and teach them that if other people tell you differently, or if other people do this or that, those aren't the right kind of people that you want to be around.
I mean, I agree. You guys are saying it all right as well. It starts at home, teach it in schools. It's a learned behavior. And, I think it's something that we will get better at. We will, as we talk about it. I recently posted a picture of a little white girl looking at a storefront of dolls that are all black. And just to kind of shake up what you think, because oftentimes I think we don't realize what it's like to walk into other shoes. And I think that's an important trait to have, to be more empathetic to everyone and to be more open to everyone's beliefs and what they have to go through.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping things will change. I've made it a constant battle. I feel the school system can be doing a little bit better by talking history and making sure we learn from our history instead of kind of ignoring it. But I genuinely feel as a parent, the best thing to do is to buy some things like dolls and different nationalities, not just Black, but Asian, Hispanic, Middle Eastern. All of that will really help our youth become very embracive to everyone.
Yeah, I think that, and also friends, in general. Especially try if you are in a segregated place that doesn't have, I mean, luckily our school had a mixture of nationalities, but I know plenty of schools that is predominantly one or the other. And that hurts too, because then you only learn through the media or, images on TV or this or that. And that's the wrong way to learn certain things, And so I learned a lot through my friends by just experience in terms of like, oh, wait a minute, that's not how they are, because my friend's not like that.
Yeah. Okay, Amy says, we recently lost my mama during COVID-19. Sorry for your loss, Amy.
Yeah.
I don't feel we're able to grieve properly. We're good most days, but then there's days, little things just send me into a meltdown. It's not a bad thing, as it just reminds me of her and gives me a bit of release. Taj, when I see, first of all, I love you, Taj, because you are just, for someone who's a director and a production kind of guy, the fact that you don't sit up with this question, building half the screen and letting half of your face just show is just amazing. But I love it about
authenticity at its finest.
But Amy,
right now.
Amy, again, this is whenever I hear about someone losing a loved one, it obviously hurts, and I feel for you, because there's not really, and this is something that the DDGF community knows, at least about me, is I don't really know how to say what to say to you. The one thing I would want you to know is that what you're going through is unique, because you and your mom have a special relationship, but I don't want you to feel like you're alone. And in our last show with Mia Kapana, that was one of my favorite takeaways, is that even though she lost her husband, her loving husband, to a sad battle of cancer, it was groups and getting close to others who are in a similar situation that has helped her get through it. You, Amy, will go through challenging moments from here till the rest of your life. That's just the truth. It's not something you just get over, but it is something that with time you can learn how to navigate through. And again, what you're feeling, what you're experiencing is all, par for the course. Don't think you're any different. Don't think you're doing it wrong. There's no proper way to grieve.
Mhm.
And the key is just to have those people, those things, whether it's music, whatever it is that helps you get through these moments, is worth doing, especially when it's new. I think that's crucial. Just get through the time, because eventually time heals. But in my opinion, right now, just do what's best for your heart, and try to stay as upbeat as you can. Not as upbeat, but you know what I mean, as up as you can.
I think also, I will stand up for you a little. But I
Thank you,
think
Todd.
also it's not going to last. But I think also one of the things that you can do is just be very careful in isolating yourself. In general, because sometimes you feel like you're going through something that no one else can really understand because you have a unique relationship with your mom, or had a unique relationship with your mom, and no one else can possibly understand. But what you really need to do is connect with people, because even though someone might have lost their father or brother or sister, it's still grieving, and you can learn a lot from that. I've said in previous episodes that, my friend Heather, who I really didn't even talk to at Buckley beforehand, but because, she had lost a parent, she understood, and she came to me, and we developed a unique friendship that to this day is extremely strong. But she's way younger, I don't even know the age different, but it was something that I needed. I needed someone that had experienced some kind of loss. And so it really helped me out through that hard problems. And it's something that normally I had my crew already, I had my friends already, but that was a unique experience that she shared that a lot of my friends didn't have. So be open to that as well.
Very good. Casey wants to know, my mom is dying due to heart issues, which I have some of too. How do you stay positive and not fall apart?
I would, yeah, I mean, especially if you're feeling that it's inevitable, that's extremely hard. I think the most important thing is to cherish. There's two ways to, this is me spitballing. It's not, professional advice or anything. But what I would do is look at it as every day is a blessing. And I would take those days to do something special with your mom, whether it's find out more about her, or, her favorite this or that. Like, every day is a blessing, and cherish those days, as opposed to, thinking the opposite and kind of grieving. Take those days to, appreciate and celebrate. And because you're going to have plenty of those grieving days later. So right now you need to build up those celebratory days and those great memories with your mom, because you're going to hold on to those. And I kind of put that in effect with Grandpa, in Vegas when we went to go see him. I mean, even though he wasn't, super conscious at the time, I cherished every minute that I spent with him, or with the family and stuff like that, because, and, felt the need to thank him. It was a lot of stuff I had to say to him in a way that I'm happy that I was able to. And I cherish those moments, even sometimes more than just hanging out with him earlier times before, because I felt like I got to say certain things that I was happy to be able to say.
And Todd, you know what? I wasn't going to respond because I thought your response was great, but I wanted to just confirm and piggyback off of what you were saying. I agree. I had some of my best moments and memories with Grandpa when he was in hospice, and he wasn't the way we remembered him, but at the same time, I felt like he was listening,
Mhm.
and what was so interesting was Grandpa was always the kind of person that controlled the room or controlled a situation. When he came into your little circle, if you were at a gathering, he was dictating the pace and the tempo and asking the questions.
Yeah.
Or just his uniqueness would demand the attention.
Mhm.
Where in this situation, it was a time for us to kind of control the vibe and the energy. And at least I felt, like you said, I was able to say things such as thank you, and I love you. and be proud and things like that. And so do my kids, and I think if you're going to lose someone, you have to kind of have that mentality of saying what you feel, and don't be scared to, because that was
Mhm.
another thing that I've even said this, I think, on this show, was when my brother-in-law lost his life just a couple months ago. I still didn't know how to handle that. I still didn't know what to say, instead of just saying what I should have said, and it's not that it eats me up. I've just decided to learn from that. And when I know someone is losing their life soon, I'm just going to go and say it as if it could be my last time talking to them. And I think that's, I didn't want to send that person into a grief cycle, or to a sad cycle. But at the same time, I think it's comforting for both me and the recipient to hear true feelings. And of course, if the feelings are love and positive, it's a good thing.
Yeah. Sue says something, it's one of those that says, my mom died on me in the car and it
Yeah.
traumatized me, but I worked through it. I'm sad I couldn't say goodbye. Yeah,
Yeah.
the goodbye thing, which we were just talking about, that's for us. I think it helps us. But at the end of the day, I didn't get to say bye to my mom. At the end of the day, they know how you felt about them. And, it is more soothing and comforting to know that you got to say goodbye. But at the end of the day, your relationship with that person, they know. And that's the thing. Like, I 100% knew my mom knew how I felt about her. And that's what gives me joy and comfort. So,
Yeah. I mean, I still feel, yeah, you're right, Todd. I know the recipient knows how you feel, but I still feel, there's value in it. And like I
well, yeah,
said,
it's good for
um,
you. Like, it makes you feel better.
yeah, but I feel like even with Grandpa, I felt like, I can't remember the exact gesture, but there was a simple gesture he made that was like, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether it was like a little movement, a
You
little
got
smirk.
there's certain situations you don't get that chance. Like, we didn't get that
Yeah.
with mom.
Like we didn't get the chance. Exactly.
Or Uncle Michael, we didn't get that chance. So there certain, that's if you get that chance, and I highly recommend doing it, but not everyone gets that chance.
Yeah.
You know.
Cheryl asks, since we're on this topic, how can you not beat yourself up if you don't get to say goodbye? Um, Again, there's some instances where you just don't. My
Mhm.
mother, like Tosh said, my Uncle Michael, it was completely different than us getting to say goodbye to my grandfather.
Mhm.
And it's hard, Cheryl. It's like I said, it's something that I'm not proud of. The fact that I didn't say, and I got to say goodbye to my brother-in-law. I just didn't do it. I was very careful about it. I didn't want to put him in a negative space, so I was very limited, and I didn't do it as much as I probably wanted to,
You
because I
regret
didn't want
what you
to.
said.
It was tough for me. You're right about that. But you can't beat yourself up, and this is something I've learned from Taj Jackson is, I can't go back in the past. I can't erase it. I can't change it. The only thing I could do is learn from it, and this isn't going to be my first time having to say goodbye to someone, far from it. So we're not perfect. We're going to keep learning how to handle these situations. And whenever it is, with whoever it is, I feel more equipped and more, ready to handle it different and better. And I think
Mhm.
that's all you can do. Is you can't beat yourself. And that's with anything in life. You're going to, I truly believe with everything in life, even if it's the worst mistake you can make, it's a golden opportunity to learn from it and to try to make sure it doesn't happen again. And if you can learn it from it, then was it necessarily that much of a mistake? That's something I really subscribe to and try to keep in the back of my mind.
Yeah, I think, and as I'm just going to reiterate, I think people know where they stand in terms of, like, if you didn't get to say goodbye, I think your relationship with that person, they do know, unless you fought with them right previously. But I think in their hearts of hearts, they still know, you know, if it's a meaningful relationship or friendship.
Uh, Todd, did you slip back into
I
not
told you it wasn't gonna last. It's this chair is. You buy me a new chair, like a.
All right. I mean, I didn't know. I was just guessing from your your your
You
your
weren't guessing.
posture.
Yeah.
Anyway, Ileana wants to know, or she says, I try to be there for my cousins the best I can since they lost their father. Any advice? You want to go first, Taj?
Oh great, now I gotta fix my hair. I think just being there, as you said, like you know, is the most important thing, because everyone grieves differently. So you don't, you know, thinking you have all the answers, you know, or thinking we have all the answers. It's like it's almost a case by case basis. Some people just want you to just physically be there. Others want you to start, you know, like they want to talk about that person. Others don't want to talk about that person at all. They just want to get their mind off of you know, onto other things. So you have to kind of assess the situation and then see what they want to do. But you know, it's hard because there's so many people that don't know what to do. So some people step in it, you know, they put their foot in their mouth and say certain things, and you have to just kind of be observant of that and watch how that person reacts to it and go, well, that's not what I'm going to do, because, you know, they reacted a certain way to that. So it's just, there's no game plan. Just being there is part of the physically being there and being a support. That's what I remember with Mom, is who was there. Not the people that said something to me, just who was there is what I remember.
I think, Ileana, just exactly what Taj said, you trying to be there. But I think something simple that you could do is simply to reach out and just say, I'm thinking of you, or I miss you, or do you want to hang out? Anything like that where it gives you an opportunity to connect with that person is what's the right move, in my opinion. And whatever the response is, let it be. You know, if it's I'm okay, da 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 da, or sure, whatever that response is, go from there. But just the fact of you reaching out, I think your cousins in this instance will feel the love and feel the warmth, and that is what matters. It's not necessarily what you're saying or how you're saying. It's just the simple fact that they're on your mind, that I think will bring a lot of peace to them.
Yeah.
Toria asks, great question, by the way, Ileana. Toria asks, are you aware of the positive impact you've had on so many lives so far with your show?
Well, I think yes, because it's helped us in a way, you know. So I can imagine if it's helped us just doing the show, then I'm assuming it would help others. And so in a way, yes. I mean, I've learned so much doing this show. I've learned how to navigate through grief, because it was something that we didn't even talk about, you know, originally, you know, talk about Mom's grief or whatever. It was just, we didn't talk about it in general. And now I feel better equipped to understand other people in that way when they grieve or what they're going through, and to empathize and sympathize. I feel I have the tools now to do that. So, you know, I'm very grateful for this show in that way, but I'm also grateful for the community that we have. You know, I see everyone, you know, being so supportive with each other. So I see that, and yes, it's, you know, super impactful and super positive. And that's exactly all we could have wished for.
Todd, I think you said it right, and I feel like a broken record.
I'm gonna take one of these just so that I can hear it when you give me crap. I'm just gonna play that.
You know what it is for me when we were doing it at the radio station. I didn't know too much. My whole perspective, or my thinking at least, was at least it's out there. If someone needs it, they can share it with each other. But I didn't know in terms of what level it's been helping everyone else. With that said, you know, since we've been doing this on Facebook and YouTube and seeing you guys and seeing your responses and seeing that we're all in similar situations, you know, we're all grieving, we're all going through difficult times. I think that's it. I can feel that love, and I can feel how that's helped me. So I can only imagine how it's helping everyone, you know, and I don't know. I'm just happy that we did this, and again, I think it's a great opportunity to not only thank you guys, the viewers, and those who are in the community, but also to thank the rest of our board who does this, you know, for free, with all volunteer and all for love, because it means something to us, you know, and it's something that we feel is missing in the community. So I thank you for that question, Toria. And we're learning more and more, but this is something that's important, that's healthy for, like I've said before, and I think Taj has said, I've learned so much and felt so much growth within myself from doing this show, and it's been very beneficial for me. And I'm it's cool to see that it's doing that for others. Janice has the comment of the day. Todd, you need a booster seat.
I read that one. I laughed when I read that.
Susan responds with, I got you, Taj. I'll buy you a new chair. Nicole's laughing.
Yeah.
Jenny's saying, buy another chair for Taj. It's beautiful. I love all the love.
Yeah.
Taj, anything else? And then Martina, of course, says it's nice to listen to you and read all these comments and know none of us is alone. Absolutely. And I think that's, like I said, the one of the main things that I've taken away from doing this for 4+ years is we're not alone. And grief and loss is such an isolating experience. You feel like the world stopped on you. And if we can get one message across, or at least if I can, I don't like speaking for my brothers, but if I can get one thing across, it would be to know you're not alone, and find that group, find that community, whether it's this one, whether it's another one. I personally don't care. I just want you to be as healthy and happy and to get back on track as soon and as healthy as you can to live a happy life that, I feel you deserve.
Yeah. And Casey Johnson asked earlier, like not being an open person in general, it's hard for her to open up and stuff like that. It was hard for me. Like at that time when my mom passed, I never talked about my feelings to anyone, even to my mom, basically. Like, it was just, I carried it all in. But the smartest thing and the best thing I did was kind of be vulnerable and let people in. And it made me feel better at that point, And I think that was one of the things that, and this too, just talking about mom has helped us. Because if you knew us, we were never talking about our family or our mom and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you get to learn but you learn that it helps others by you talking about it and sharing it. It's almost like it's a healing process in itself. So I would recommend that, and be smart of who you choose to open up to. Don't just. But at the same time, there's a lot of people in this community that are great people that are very sympathetic and empathetic. That you're in good hands as well.
All right, we are going to close the show. We will do another part. I don't know if I should have checked the schedule to see if we have a guest. If not, we will do part 2 of this. We have your questions if you've asked them on Instagram. For those that we didn't get to, there's many more. But this was fun. This was enjoyable. This was educational. And I feel like we all grew together. Remember, for anyone out there, if you're going through a hard time, time helps. It helps. Understand that whatever you're feeling and experiencing, don't judge yourself. You're very vulnerable at this moment. Don't think that you're doing something wrong. Be forgiving. Be helpful. If you're on the outside, just reach out. Say, I'm missing you. I hope you're okay. I've been thinking about you. Those are all phrases that I think can help someone feel a connection and give them some type of strength. Again, we're going to close. If you want more information on our foundation, you can always go to www.ddjf.org. We do these shows. We do music therapy classes, and we're excited to do many more things that we had planned in 2020, but COVID hit. So we are now having to shelve that for 2021. But again, we want to thank you guys for joining us and being such a great community. Taj, anything else you want to add before I close?
No, I'm just grateful for the community. We have a great community.
I'm not going to say anything. All right. Thank you guys.
I know.
Thank you guys so much. Much love to you. Be safe and always spread love. Adios on behalf of TJ, Taj, and the entire DDJF community. Bye, everyone.